Hi everyone, it's Nicole for Spellbinders, and today I am sharing this card created with the Spellbinders Small Die of the Month Layered Colorful Blooms. These are gorgeous florals that have all the elements for layering them. So if you love the look of layered floral stamps, I think you'll really love these layered colorful blooms because they give you the same look only out of die cuts. I think they are phenomenal, and I am super excited to share this card with you. I am using the Fun Stamper's Journey Love Stripes embossing folder. I use this a lot. It's one of my very favorite embossing folders, and it creates this gorgeous diagonal embossed stripe. And then I have pre-die cut the layered colorful blooms from many colors of cardstock, including a lot of Fun Stamper's Journey cardstock colors, and then some other cardstocks that I have from my collection in my stash. Really, it was just based on color. So if I needed kind of a mid-tone or a darker cardstock color to supplement or fill in those layers, I would dive into what I had, in my stash to build those blooms like I needed to. So it was all based on color. Any of the colors of cardstock that I'm using are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. So if you're curious at any time exactly what color of cardstock I'm using, you can find that information there. I'm using this little ceramic muffin tin tray to kind of divvy up and sort all of my die cut pieces, because this is a lot of die cuts, a ton of die cuts. And what I found worked really good is I love using a pair of tweezers and my crystal katana for assembling the flowers, plus some liquid glue. I'm using Lawn Fawn glue tube glue. It was a new bottle, and it was a little bit more aggressive than I thought it was going to be. And so it was kind of coming out, so I would smear it on the back, which actually worked really well. I like that thin layer of glue all over it. But anyway, I want to assemble my blooms and leaves and things kind of over to the side. What I found worked really great was assembling them and kind of assembling everything. I'm starting with the group of florals along the bottom edge, assembling them over to the side, and instead of immediately taking them over to my project and starting to put it all together, I'm going to assemble the blooms, kind of let that dry, and I'm going to come back and assemble the collage of florals. Some are going to be adhered with foam adhesive and some directly to the card itself. I did lay them out for the most part, just to kind of give myself an idea of how it was all going to come together. There's going to be a bigger collage underneath our sentiments, and then a really small one up at the top, but it's going to kind of surround the sentiment, which is a combination of a die cut hello, which comes with these layered colorful blooms, small die of the month club kit dies, and then a sentiment stamped from the Fun Stamper's Journey Text Happy stamp set. And that small phrase we will add at the very end. I'm keeping my flowers all purples, violets, some pinks, and then a little blue with the beautiful greenery. And once I have the majority of what I think I'm going to use, I'm going to start assembling the collage. I can always come back in and add more later. I die cut the hello 3 times from this blue cardstock. I believe this is the Fun Stamper's Journey Pool Play. And I'm going to adhere them one on top of another to give it a little more stability. And then I can glue that to my project. I will tell you that if I had to do it over again, that I would have not adhered this until a little bit later. It doesn't bother me a ton, but I do think I would have adjusted it just a tiny bit to make it, I don't know, work maybe just a little bit better, or I would have arranged my florals up at the top different, which maybe that's what I should have done. I really like the placement. It's probably such a small thing. It's just me. Anyway, The large blooms, I'm adhering with foam adhesive. This also allows me to much easier tuck leaves and stems and little blooms underneath the edge. Plus, it gives that depth and dimension. Other than the large flowers, which there's only 3 of them, everything else is going to be adhered directly to our embossed card base. About this point, after I have the initial images adhered, it gives me a good idea of what else I need. I need a couple more leaves over here to the right. I decided to add another blue bloom to make it come down to a V in this collage. And then I added another pink bud over to the right. Next, we are ready to start assembling the florals up at the top. I've got a pink flower, a blue, and then a purple, and then greenery. And that's all I'm going to adhere up at the top. There's not as much room up there, and I want to still have the sentiment be visible. So that is really enough die cut images. This is a very die cut heavy card. Lots and lots of floral blooms, but I really wanted to showcase just how amazing these are, how gorgeous they are. I think this is something you can use over and over. I use this for a hello card. You can use these for Easter, anniversaries, weddings, Mother's Day, birthdays, sympathy cards, thinking of you, anything. Florals can be used for anything. And I think that this is a die set that can be used over and over and over, which I absolutely love. Now, I was going to use the Misty, but I ended up not using it. I just used an acrylic block to stamp the Do Small Things with Great Love from the Fun Stamper's Journey Text Happy stamp set. There's lots of teeny tiny sentiments in this, so it's great to work. I love it with die cut sentiments especially, or a larger stamp sentiment will work as well. But I'm a big fan of the scripty larger die cut sentiment with a little stamped phrase in a strip underneath it. In this case, we are stamping that on the gray Fun Stamper's Journey Rock Candy cardstock. We've stamped it with a clear embossing ink, heat embossed it with white embossing powder, and then we're going to pop it up right underneath the hello with a little foam adhesive strip, and that really rounds it out. The last thing I decided to do is add some Nuvo crystal drops scattered throughout in the same colors we're using in the card. So we will adhere this panel to a white top fold card base, and then we're going to take the Nuvo crystal drops and add little droplets throughout the design, which really kind of balance it all out. You could use sequins, jewels, rhinestones, anything like that, anything similar, or Nuvo crystal drops like I'm using, which create your own, enamel dots, anything like that's going to work. This is Carnation Pink, and then we're going to have a lavender and finally like a sea breeze color, which the sea breeze color is translucent. So it's kind of a really pretty translucent blue. The gloss white, we are adding little droplets to the center of our larger blooms, our larger flowers, anything that's got that little yellow center. And it just adds a nice finishing touch, I think, to the flowers. A white detail gel pen would also work here. I often will squirt out some of the product, which the violet you can see a lot of it came out. One of the reasons I do that off on a scrap piece of paper is I don't want that happening on my card. And I simply squeezed it too hard. I know I had someone one time ask, why did you do that? Well, there was an air bubble. The Sea Breeze, I haven't used it in a while either. It also had an air bubble and did not come out great. And so I kind of had to squeeze a lot more out to make sure that it was going to come out and not explode on my project. As a matter of fact, it did explode on my project because there was another air bubble. Luckily, it was a translucent color. It's going to do it right here. It's huge. I just kind of wiped it up with my finger, which was really lucky that I was able to do that. But my recommendation is there is a ton of product in these bottles, so kind of try it on a scrap piece of paper first. Here is a look at some additional cards I made with the April card kit of the month and the small die of the month. So here, just some additional examples of how these layered colorful blooms work with other product and in other colorways. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this card featuring the Spellbinders April 2019 Small Die of the Month Layered Colorful Blooms. The supplies I used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Spellbinders dies that you might be interested in. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.